Welcome back to Golf Extra. Tiger Woods has kept himself in the news in recent months, even though he hasn't been out on the golf course due to injury. That's not really a good thing, though. In fact, we're willing to bet that Tiger would much rather have his name kept out of the news in this case. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe for more videos just like this one. Now, let's get right into the latest legal developments for Tiger Woods. Tiger Woods hasn't played professional golf in some time, mainly due to injuries that he sustained both in a serious car wreck and over the course of his long playing career. However, he's also had significant issues in his personal and legal life, which has caused him to retreat a little bit from the spotlight during the last few months while everything played out. First, a bit of background. Tiger Woods started dating Erica Herman, a manager at the Woods Jupiter restaurant in Florida back in 2017. At first, they mostly stayed out of the public eye, but eventually they started to make more and more public appearances, including at events like the Masters Tournament and the President's Cup. In the end, though, their relationship didn't last forever. Despite no public indications of trouble for either of them, Woods and Norman decided to end their relationship in early 2023. The end of their relationship didn't come in the usual way either. Instead, Norman filed the lawsuit against Woods, alleging significant misbehavior. In this lawsuit, Norman claimed that Woods had illegally terminated an arrangement that the couple had to allow her to live at Woods' house, designed to extend even beyond the end of their relationship. In filing this lawsuit, Norman also alleged that a non-disclosure agreement, NDA, that she had signed at the start of the relationship be voided, based on the fact that it violated the recently codified Speak Out Act. This law was created to void NDAs in the case that sexual assault or sexual harassment in violation of federal, tribal, or state law. So Norman seems to definitely be alleging that something seriously wrong occurred here, but it took her initial court filing to really lay things out in detail. In the initial court filing that Herman and her lawyers filed, they laid out a version of events that definitely painted Tiger Woods in a pretty negative light. Mr. Woods was Miss Herman's boss. On Mr. Woods' own portrayal of events, he imposed an NDA on her as a condition to keep her job when she began having a sexual relationship with him. A boss imposing different work conditions on his employee because of their sexual relationship is sexual harassment. The filing continued. Tiger Woods, the internationally renowned athlete and one of the most powerful figures in global sports, decided to pursue a sexual relationship with his employee. Then, according to him, forced her to sign an NDA about it or else be fired from her job. And when he became disgruntled with their sexual relationship, he tricked her into leaving her home, locked her out, took her cash, pets, and personal possessions, and tried to strong-arm her into signing a different NDA. The filing concluded with the following. This scheme involved convincing Miss Herman to pack for a weekend excursion to the Bahamas. She and Mr. Woods often traveled on short notice for quick getaways, and she was told this would be another such trip. So, she took a minimum of items, expecting to return home in a few days. Then, Mr. Woods' California lawyer, out of the blue, told her that she was not going anywhere, would never see Mr. Woods again, had been locked out of the house and could not return. She would not even be able to see the children or her pets again. While still in the hangar, Ray Donovan, a fictional character with a pen, proceeded to insult Miss Herman, advised her she had no legal rights, and tried to force her to agree to a different non-disclosure and arbitration agreement. Of course, the filing is only one part of the legal process. Both parties get to have their day in court. In court, Judge Elizabeth Metzger had a lot to consider when deciding the first thing about the case, whether or not to send it to an arbitration court, as would typically be required by the NDA that both Herman and Woods signed at the start of their relationship. In reviewing the agreement, Metzger started her opinion to both parties by saying, "The arbitration agreement is valid on its face. It's the burden of the party seeking to avoid arbitration to demonstrate that the agreement is itself invalid." She continued with some amount of legalese, but gave a pretty detailed explanation about the specifications of the case. So they, defendant, obviously indicated if the court gets past the issue of it's valid upon its face, you look at the language in the document as a contract to tell us what goes to arbitration. We know that this language is very broad, and it cites the AAA, American Arbitration Association rules. And we know what the case law is on that, so again, I know you disagree with valid on its face, but when I look at the plain language of the agreement, it seems as if the arbitration clause is very broad, and it would require that the court send the issues of validity as well as scope to an arbitrator. She continued, "I think just right out of the box, motion to compel, I am showing the agreement. And now that I have heard from you, I know what the agreement is, and I look at it and I make a determination if it's quote-unquote valid on its face. We know contract interpretation. I confine myself to the four corners of the agreement and I look at it. I can't look further than that. Turning her attention to Benjamin Hodis, Herman's lawyer, Metzger stated, I think the other side cited some case law that says that the court needs more than just conclusory references to the federal statute, right? Yes, I think you're nodding your head. And she finished her statement on that subject by saying, Mr. Hodis, I guess your request is, Judge, there seems to be issues of fact, and therefore we should have an evidentiary hearing on the issue of authenticity. And on the other side, they're saying absolutely not. You have sufficient evidence in the record of authenticity. This is the agreement. It's valid on its face. The arbitration clause is broad. The attack is on the validity of the agreement overall itself and is an arguable issue and should be sent to the arbitrator. So, despite Herman's attempts to try and force the issue through to a true court where she could pursue up to $30 million in damages, instead, the matter was forced back to arbitration as the best-case scenario, with Metzger concluding, Herman has had the opportunity to provide factual specificity for any claim relating to sexual assault or sexual harassment. However, she has not done so. This seemed to end the matter, with the case seemingly headed for an arbitration hearing, which would take place out of the public eye and make Herman's case less sympathetic. However, she wasn't done yet, deciding instead to have her attorney file a 53-page brief in a Florida State Appeals Court, which alleged that she was a victim of sexual harassment by Woods and should be eligible to avoid private arbitration. The brief read, in part, Congress recently passed the Ending Forced Arbitration of Sexual Assault and Sexual Harassment Act of 2021, precisely to prevent a plaintiff like Ms. Herman from being forced into arbitration by a former boss and sexual partner related to her employment and sexual relationship. No one should be forced out of court and into arbitration without proof that they agreed to arbitrate. But that happened here. The trial court allowed the appellee, Tiger Woods, to force the appellant, Erica Herman, out of court without even threshold evidence that he and she agreed to arbitrate. The burden was not high for the appellee, but he failed to meet it. The statement concluded, neither party behaved as if the purported agreement from 2017 governed anything they did. In particular, in October 2022, a dispute arose between Mr. Woods and Ms. Herman about whether she would be permitted to continue living in the house and whether their relationship would continue. Mr. Woods did not take the dispute to arbitration. Instead, he deployed a scheme of trickery and threats to eject Ms. Herman from the house, take her personal property and pets, and break up with her. It remains to be seen what will come as a result of this appeal, and if it will force Woods into a more public spotlight. Comment with your thoughts and make sure to subscribe for more content like this. We'll catch you in the next one.